Hey everyone, my name's Jonathan and welcome to Academy of Mine. Today we're going to learn how to manage users in the Academy of Mine LMS. When we refer to users, we're talking about anybody involved in your training system. So this means instructors, students, admins, training managers, and any other users involved. In the AOM platform, we have a feature called User Roles, and this feature allows you to define what actions the different users in your LMS can take. We refer to these actions as permissions, and just like if you were attending an in-person workshop or were enrolled in a college course online, the instructors and managers would have more permission than you as a student. By defining who has access to manage, onboard, and perform administrative tasks, meanwhile restricting students enrolled in a course from taking administrative actions, User Roles helps you run training programs at scale. And when we say students, we're referring to any users enrolled in training. So this could mean employees, partners, students, and any other type of customer taking a training course or webinar. Just like in a job, when managers give an employee permission to do something, your users enrolled in a training program are given a different set of permissions by the admin. Now these permissions are defined by default, but if you wanted to customize them, you can also do so using custom roles with Academy of Mine. All right, so let's jump inside the platform and show you how to manage users with this feature. All right, so starting in the admin dashboard, go to Users, then click Roles. So here you can see the 5 user roles included in your LMS by default. You have instructor, student, group admin, admin, and super admin. And virtually all of these have different permissions, and that's what we're going to get right into. So let's start with the admin role since this is you. So as an admin, you're in charge of managing and overseeing training, and naturally you have the most permissions out of any user role. So you being an admin have the ability to come in here and adjust the permissions of other user roles, create new roles from scratch, and if you're training different organizations or groups of customers using groups, then you can also manage the different groups on the account. In addition to managing user roles and groups, admins can create and manage courses, create products, add users and enroll students into a course, manage e-commerce settings, edit pages on the front-facing LMS site and the dashboard you're looking at now, and more. The next role is really simple, and this is super admins. So super admins are restricted to the Academy of Mine staff. We pretty much use this if you're experiencing any issues and we want to come into your account and monitor and troubleshoot. That's how we do it. We log in as a super admin. Before moving on to the next roles, let's actually talk about editing the permissions of these roles. So you can either left click under the name of the role you want to edit, or under actions on the far right, you can left click that ... and click edit there. So let's say you're training an organization, you just onboarded them into their own group and they're using your platform to sell their courses. But not only did they want to sell their courses, they also wanted to begin creating courses. So by default, creating courses for group admins would not be an option. But if you left click under group admins or under edit under that ... like I showed you before, you can go under here in the permissions. And now if you click on courses, the first checkbox, you can grant the group admins permission to create courses. And now they can create courses. And then make sure you also click update role. And as you can see, there's endless categories under permissions, and each category has a ton of different options. Literally, we would be here for like 2 hours if we went over all these permissions. But the point is, there's a bunch of different permissions you can edit on both of the 5 user roles included in your LMS by default, or from adding and creating a role from scratch, you can edit the permissions the same way. Next, let's talk about group admins. So group admins are administrators that have course and student management capabilities only over the groups they are assigned to. So if you aren't sure how groups work, I put something on the screen for you to learn more, and there's also a link in the description if you want to read about how groups work. Next, let's talk about the instructor role. When the instructor logs into the account, you will see automatically that their interface and their dashboard is a little bit different than what you're seeing as a admin. And one thing they have is a personalized calendar where they'll be able to see webinars and upcoming events that are on their schedule. So aside from attending webinars and different events, as well as responding to any written assignments that need manual grading from students, the main responsibility of instructors would be in this report section and overseeing grades and making sure that their students are performing well. However, like we've been discussing this whole time, all these permissions are adjustable, so if it makes sense for instructors to be able to create courses, that's another option, or maybe it makes sense for instructors to be able to upload their own users. All of this is possible and more thanks to users roles. Now, before we talk about students, let's actually talk about how you as an admin have the ability to actually change a user's role. So let's say for whatever reason you want to change a student to an instructor. So in users, all you have to do is click on the student you want to do this to. Then once you're in there, you click select role and the drop down window comes, and change this to instructor. And after you're done changing the new role, just make sure that you click update user afterwards. Last but not least, you have the student role. So the students, as we discussed earlier, are any users that are actually taking your courses, potentially for credits and certificates. When you log in as a student, you can see immediately that your dashboard looks a bit different from instructors. Much like any of the other user roles, since they have different responsibilities and the purpose of their roles are different, everyone's dashboard looks a bit different. So as a student, you can see what courses you are enrolled in, what certificates you have earned, what orders you have made, if any, if you purchased any training, and potential subscriptions you are running, and more. And of course, like we've said multiple times, just like any role in the LMS, you have the option to edit the permissions of students if you wanted to give them more access to do things in the LMS or less. It's completely up to you. And just an idea to leave you guys with, let's say you were happy with the permissions that students have, but you wanted to create a role which was kind of like in between students and instructors. Let's say it's called instructor's assistant. You could just create that role and adjust those permissions there. All right, you guys, thank you so much. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, you are a superstar. And if you want to learn more about user management and user roles in Academy of Mine, I'll put a link in the description so you can read more about this and watch more videos. Thanks again. I'll see you guys in a week.